welcome to another episode of Around the House. I'm your host, Steve O'Brien, and here we are again today. We're going to do another great project for you. Today's project we're going to start, it will be a multi-part project, so this episode today will be the very beginning of the project. We're going to do a room makeover in a basement. Actually, part of the room has been started, and we'll show you. We're going to frame a wall, basic framing techniques, framing an opening for a door that will go in the wall, and some strapping to go on the ceiling to receive drywall. And like I say, it will be a multi-part show. We'll show you the step-by-step on framing the wall, installing the door, doing some drywall work, minor electrical work, and insulating for sound purposes, and a few other little odds and ends. So I hope you can stay with us through the whole series. It ought to be interesting. So we'll be right back and we'll get started on our project. All right, here we are. We're in the basement. This is our project, our multi-part series project, the very beginning of it. And as you can see, if you can see behind me and around me, there are existing walls already up that somebody had started many, many years ago, which we'll use to our benefit. We don't have to frame all that out. All we have to do is frame this one wall. In this one wall, we'll put an entry door. So this will work out to be a nice little room for somebody. So what we're going to do is they've already put the upper plate in place for us. This is called the shoe, or the bottom plate. And the floor is kind of uneven, so we have to deal with a few different things, but we'll make it work. Some cases you might need some wooden shims, which shingles work good. If there's a real low spot in the floor, you just make up the difference with the shingle. But this doesn't seem too bad, but again, as you'll see as we go how we do this, and this is a very simple process. Normally you could lay this down and we could build this wall on the floor and just stand it up, make it a little shorter and put some strapping above it and do it that way. But in this case, we really can't. So I'm gonna explain how we're gonna fasten this shoe down. And first of all, what I use, number one, don't forget the hearing protection, okay? While I have it here, hearing protection, especially with this gun, it gets pretty loud, and the eye protection. This is called a ramp set. It's an old tool. A lot of home improvement stores have them, and you can't justify buying one of these for such a small project, but you can, in a lot of cases, you can buy the nails and hammer them in by hand. You got to wear safety glasses, especially doing that, because the nails are very hard steel, and sometimes a piece of shrapnel will fly off. So always wear safety glasses doing this. But this tool, I've had this tool for years, and I don't use it that often, so it'll make the job go a little quicker today. Let me explain the shots we're going to use. I have two different caliber size, whatever you want to call them, powder charges. This is a number 4, as you could probably see. Number 4, and the green is a number 3. The higher up you go, the more powerful the shot. And in this case, I'm going to try out with a high one, number 4, because it's pretty old concrete. And old concrete does get very hard over time. So we're going to try a number 4 charge, which is yellow. And these are pretty cool. And if they work, they're even better. So you saw it here first. Okay, it's a brand new box, but they've been sitting around for a while. So there's what they look like. And it just goes right around. I can shoot as fast as I can shoot. To put that gun down, it'll shoot. So I didn't count, but there's multiple charges. There's probably 12 shots in every coil. So we'll put that in the gun. That goes in the back like so. We drop it right in the slot. Drop the lid down. And all we do now this gun will not fire. I could pull this trigger all day. This won't fire unless you compress the head. It's a safety feature. Almost the same as a nail gun. Now we have these 2.5-inch hardened steel pins that go with this type of gun. Every gun might have a little different pin, but these go with this gun. So here we go. And don't forget hearing protection and eye protection. Very important. And let's keep our fingers crossed that this works. Now we snap the chalk line from this point to to the other existing point over there, so we know this is straight with those 2 points. That worked better than I could have expected. Now, when I recock the gun, it moves the shot into the next position. So we can just keep going along shooting it in. Follow your chalk line and put a little weight on it to hold it. One more ought to do it. Perfect. Well, there you have it. The shoe went down better than I ever expected it to. It really worked out well. So the next step will be we're going to, we've got to cut the studs individually. We'll show you the laying out. We got to lay these out, the studs. We have a door opening to lay out, and we'll show you how we attach the vertical studs in our next shot. We've already cut one stud, and now what we're going to do, where the ceiling and the floor, we have to cut between the ceiling and the floor, because the floor, like I said in that previous shot, the floor was way out of level. It's not really that bad, but it's enough that if you were to make all one size, you'd be fighting against everything. So we went down, we laid out our studs, and I will show you that layout when we go to put these in. And we need a total of 8 studs to do this wall. Like I say, I've got one already down there, and I'm going to show you what I did was I numbered them 1 through 7, and I'm going to write as I cut them, I'll write the number on the bottom of the stud so we don't get confused. I already did number 1. Make sure you cross it out as you do it. Now we're going to do number 2, which gains a little bit, so it's just a tiny bit longer than the last one. So number 2 would be 77 1/4. So 77 1/4 would be there. Okay, and we'll mark that number 2, and we erase that as soon as we do it. And then we'll go to number 3. Number 3 is 77 3/8, so they're gaining about 1/8 of an inch as we go. 77 3/8. Okay, that's number 3. Erase that. Number 4, 77 1/2. So you can see how they're gradually getting longer. 77 1/2. I always double check. 77 1/2. That's number 4. And we're going to cross that one out. Number 5 is staying the same. That's 77 1/2 as well. And make sure you're hooked on the end too. And make sure your ends are square. And they're factory cut. They're usually pretty square. 77 1/2 was number 5. So 77 1/2, and that's number 5. We'll cross that out. Number 6 is also 77 1/2. We're having a pretty good run here. So number 6, 77 1/2 as well. And that's number 6. And we're getting there, number 7. And number 7 is also 77 1/2, a little on the strong side. So we were starting to get a little higher again. So 77 1/2 strong, which means I'll just leave the line on. So 77 1/2, we'll just leave the line on that one. And I usually write S for strong. And that's number 7. Cross that out, and number 8 would be the same. But you'll see they're right next to each other. So that's 77 1/2 strong on that one as well. And I write strong, and that's number 7 as well. these two get nailed together. It's right by the door. Actually, this is the side of the door where the door will fasten to. So we're going to square these up. We'll use our framing square. You can use a smaller square. You don't need this. And we just draw a nice straight line. Of course, if you have a power saw like a miter saw, and you're doing a lot of studs, it might be okay. Be nice and straight every time, but usually a skill saw works fine. Most people have a skill saw laying around the house. Okay, we square them nice. And on the strong ones, these last two, I'm just going to leave the pencil line on a little bit so it'll be a little bit pronounced. Okay, now we're going to cut them to length. And we'll make short work of this because we did them all at once. All right. And as we do them, we'll move them to the side. Here you have it. We're ready to install these. And now we'll go back down in the basement and we'll show you how fun these are to put in. And that'll be our wall. So stay with us, and next shot we'll show you how these go in. All right, we're back in the basement and we've cut all our studs to the proper length. And now I'm going to show you, before I install the studs, I'm going to show you how I laid these studs out. First, what I did was, this is an existing wall, and we have a 2x4 nailed on the wall behind it, so we have plenty of room for the sheetrock to catch. That's what you're going to make sure. We have 1.5 inches here exposed that the sheetrock will catch on, so that works out really well. So the first thing I want to do in the layout process is go to the wall that this stud is nailed to, right tight to the wall, just like it was a sheet of drywall. And I measure out. You can see where my little nail is right here. I don't know if you can see that on camera, but I put that little nail right there. And what I did was I measured 15¼ inches, and I'll explain to you why. 15¼ is my first mark. What that is that would give me the edge of my stud, and that would bring me dead center at 16 inches to the center of my stud, because there's 3/4 inch. Half of a stud is 1.5 inch stud is 3/4 inch. So by doing that, now when I hook my tape measure on that nail, now I'll go 16 inches on center, which would be the line of the edge of the stud on every stud. And then when you hold your tape in the center of that first one, just like we were simulating the drywall measures 48 inches. So we're going to make believe we got the sheet of drywall and see how it lays out. There you have it. 4 feet falls dead center on that stud right there. So you just want to make sure that your studs land 16 on center to catch your drywall every 4 feet. And that is just what we did, right down the line. You just make your one mark from the beginning at 15¼ put a nail or have somebody hold the tape. And from that point on, you go 16, 16, 16, and the line will be, that'll be the beginning of your stud. I don't know if that helps you any, but it's very simple. Do it a couple of times, you'll get the feel for it, and it'll be like you won't even have to think about it. So now we're going to start putting these numbered studs in place. I have my first one here ready to go. This will be number 1. I'm I'm going to use a pneumatic nailer, which again, a lot of homeowners don't own pneumatic nailers. In this case, I had it from years and years ago, and I broke it out of the cobwebs just for this project. And it just makes things a little simpler. You could very easily do these with hand nails. You can use 8 penny commons. You don't have to use 16 penny commons. You really don't need that much nail. An 8 penny common would work fine. But for this project, I got 16s in the gun, and we're gonna hopefully make short work of this. So here we go. We got our marks already at the top. And you might have to, you want them a little snug. Make sure it's flush on your upper plate. And that's good. Now we're going to do the top first. Okay, here we go. Angle the gun if you have one. See how easy that was? Bottom one, same thing. Right through the pencil line. There we go. Now this one has a little bit of a twist. I'm gonna kind of, if it's got a little twist, don't worry too much about it. Just shoot it in the opposite side. Okay? These nails aren't really setting very well. I might not have my compressor set right, which I'll check that. So there you go. And I'm just going to run a check on this before I go crazy. I'll throw a level on there. And that's dead money for plumb. And that's what I care about. So I know our upper mark will be perfect all the way along too. So now we're going to lay out the rest of our studs. We have them over there. We're going to lay them out according to the sequence. This would be number 2, 3, 4, etc. And we'll continue to nail these up as we go. A little loose. All right, we finished framing this wall. As you could see, it goes pretty quick. The nail gun made a big difference. In cutting all the studs at the same time also helps. I like to do that, as instead of one at a time. Cut them all at once, bring them all down, then you're not running back and forth. As you could see at the very end where I put the double stud, that's going to receive our door. That's our door opening. And I usually double up a stud when there's a door, because what that'll do is when you go to do your trim work around the door, it will carry the, it'll give you a nailer actually for the trim. So that's why I double it up. As far as the top goes, the door is going really close to the top, so we didn't have to put, is what they call a header at the top. It'll almost go right up to the ceiling. So that's so much for that. But we'll show you a couple of shots of us putting up some strapping on the ceiling. That'll be our next phase of this project. So we'll show you that in our next shot, and a couple of pieces of strapping in the ceiling, and you should get the hang of that. It's pretty easy to do. So stay with us. Hello and welcome back to our segment on building a basement room. And we're finishing up our framing phase of this project. You've seen us in the last few shots doing the wall. And to finish it out, we're going to strap the ceiling off just to receive our sheetrock. Now, you'll see these blocks up here. I've got another one in my hand, and I'm going to apply that to the side of this floor joist. And what happened here was, you got to remember that this room was partially built by somebody back probably 20 years ago, and their framing techniques weren't the greatest. So we're trying to work with what we have. The walls are a little out of square. They're about an inch out of square at some point. So we have to make up the difference and add a few blocks to it just to catch the end of the strapping on this end. That end is going to be fine. We can hit the bottom of the joist over there. If I was framing this from scratch, I would have put the strapping up first, and then you have your wall go under the strapping and snap lines. You keep it nice and square, but this framing was done totally wrong. So we're going to make it work, and we're going to save the homeowner some money here by doing it this way. So bear in mind that this room is a little bit out of square right from the start. So we're going to shoot this block on, and we've got one more block to do after this, and then we'll be ready to start putting our strapping in. All right, here we go. Okay. Now the next shot we'll be doing, we'll show you how we're going to lay out the strapping. We're going to snap some chalk lines, and then we're going to actually show you how we apply the strapping to the existing ceiling joists. So stay with us, and in the next segment we'll finish this up and show you the strapping going up. All right, we've nailed our blocking up to receive our strapping in our last shot, and now we've cut a couple pieces to length. And we're going to nail these up in place. You can use a hand nail with some 6-penny common nails. I prefer to use a ring nail, which it doesn't come out as easy as a regular smooth common nail. In this case, we have them in our gun, which just makes it a little bit quicker. But I've done many a ceiling by hand, and it's not that hard to do by hand. What we did to snap these lines is we measured from the wall 16 inches out, and then I found the center, which was half the width of the strapping. The strapping is 2.5 inches, so you go 16 inches out and then measure back, or the other way, 1.5 inches, snap your line, and then measure from there every 16 inches and make an X on the side that the strapping is going on, so you don't get confused what side of the line to put the strapping on. So I always put an X on the side where the strapping is going, so that we fall 16 on center. So let's start throwing these up, and you'll see how easy this goes once we get going here. This first one goes right against the wall. Like so. Okay. Now I'm not going to nail it off completely on camera because it's just a lot of wasted time. Okay, now we'll put the second one up on our chalk line. As you can see, I'm doing this alone, pretty easy. But if you have a helper, that'd be nice. Okay, right hard against our petition. And right there is about where I want to be. There you go. Well, we've got a few more of these to do, and we'll show you how this comes out when we're through. So we'll get nailing this off, and we'll come right back and show you the rest of it. All right, there you have it. Last piece of strapping's up in our ceiling. The ceiling's all strapped off. We might have a few more nails to put in it, but that's not very hard to do. And we're almost ready for drywall. In the next show, you will see us doing some electrical and insulating for sound purposes. We have insulation on the exterior walls. We want to insulate these interior walls for sound purposes. So next show, I hope you can join us for that. It ought to be interesting. I want to thank everybody for watching, especially the people that have been watching in all our local communities that we are currently aired in. And you YouTube viewers, thank you very much for your comments. You can email me at finisheddimensions@yahoo.com, or you can visit my website, finisheddimensions.com. And for now, that about wraps it up. Thanks for watching. See you on the next show.